Welcome back, everybody. It's friggin' good politics with Greg and Derek here.
Hey,
This is
everybody.
we're gonna do a nice quick one here for you. So that way
Quickie.
we can make sure we quickie. That way we make sure we stay good on our promise of one video a week.
We're barely fitting this in, folks. We're busy. People keep hiring us to do things.
Yeah, stop doing that, people. I'm just kidding.
Greg, stop being so good at video and helping clients advocate for themselves. This is very annoying, all the work that we have coming on. No, we love our
I
clients. We
apologize.
appreciate them. And we work our butts off for them because they deserve it. And
Yep.
we take their needs and the needs of their business and their organizations incredibly seriously because communications, marketing is the spear of your business, people. Make
Yep.
sure you're investing in it and find a good partner like MASH, as an example, even though we're kind of too busy right now to help you out. Someone that actually cares. So I did a pitch for ourselves. I've never done a pitch for us as
Oh
sort of
yeah,
a
it was
podcast.
about time. We had to get to a certain level of notoriety, and then we could do
Now
that.
we can pitch. Yeah, we have hundreds of you who listen to us, and we
Yeah,
love you
yeah,
all.
yeah. Yes, and
We're
thank you
ta-
to
we're
our
ta-
subscribers.
That's right. So like and subscribe, tell your friends. We are wanting to do a quickie on the Premier approval ratings that just came out from Angus Reid.
Yes.
I love this report. It is always fun because I love provincial politics. I love federal too, but provincial is very fun. And we do a lot of work in provincial politics and seeing how all these governments are doing and helping them or helping other people advocate to them. So can I jump into it, Greg? Is you're the host, so
Yeah, you should be able to share. Is it not letting you share? There we go.
thank you. All right. So Angus Reid does a very good job at this. They've been doing it for a very long time as well. And I like their report. It's been consistent when they go into election cycles that Angus Reid has a really good look at this. So here
Yeah.
is the chart that you see. You see Mr. Wab Kinew, the Premier of Manitoba, crushing it at
Yeah, holy
68%
smokes.
approval rating. That is very, very high historically, people. And you know what? I don't want to admit this on the podcast publicly that I like an NDP premier. I kind of do.
I think a
I
lot of people do. I
yeah,
think 68% of Manitobans do.
that's right. It's right there in color.
Yeah.
So here's, in my opinion, why he's so popular. Even though he's faced challenges actually from his own party, he had a longtime
Yeah.
MLA quit on him over him suggesting that we should build a pipeline to the port of Churchill
Yeah.
and export resources out of Hudson Bay, which I think is a great idea. And I can't believe it's taken this long. I can't believe the PC government previously didn't even talk about this. They were too scared to do it, which made me mad. And now you have an NDP premier doing it,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. And people seem to really like this idea that, hey, he's obviously a left wing kind of guy, but he's really being more of a centrist and very pragmatic at what he's doing. And this is, for me, good government. It's like, yeah, you got elected
Yeah.
on a certain platform, but this is also good for the country and it's good for Manitoba.
Yeah.
Uh, but of course, people in his party don't like it because they had sort of a mandate as a party as no more new pipelines, which is a ridiculous option. No party should ever do that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Correct.
this is the modern NDP. But Wab Kinew is saying, no, this is the right thing to do. And I
Yeah.
think that's why a lot of people are saying, good on him. Good on
Yeah.
him. And
And he seems to be eager to work, very, very eager to work with Saskatchewan and Alberta to get their resources to Tidewater,
yep.
which
And
is
so
fantastic.
for me being I have my Saskatchewan and Alberta joint pin on right now because
Nice.
they always should have been one province, but they got chopped in the middle, and that's why it's sliced for all you history buffs out there. Sir Wilfrid Laurier decided those two provinces or that big area was too powerful, so let's slice them in half. Is how that happened, and that's why we have two provinces. But they should really
Yeah.
be advocating together because they're very similar in nature and scope. So, but anyways, this is good for the West. It's good for Canada,
Yeah.
and so good on Wab Kinew. Stick tap already for him. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. Uh,
Yeah.
Tim Houston. What do you think of Tim Houston there, Greg?
I mean, 50, it's funny, like, he's got the little down arrow there indicating that, he's going down, but of course it's only -1 on 58%. Like he's still doing
Pretty
very
good.
well for himself.
Yeah.
There was a lot of chatter during the last federal election because they put out that sort of rah-rah in Nova Scotia video, like, oh,
It's a
is
good
he
video.
gunning? It was a great video.
Yeah,
Each premier should basically do something like that.
they should.
And
Each
everyone
premier
was like,
hire us to do a video like that.
yeah, 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 we'll do it for
That's
you.
that's
Yeah.
honestly what we do. A lot of the stuff we do.
And so he's still riding high. Very little buyer's remorse from Nova Scotians on that last election.
Yeah.
Still, there was some. Is he going to run for federal leader? I mean, I don't see that happening. I didn't see that out of that video. I didn't see any of the hallmarks of, gunning for federal leader. He doesn't seem eager to be learning French anytime soon.
No,
So,
no. If you look at the report here, it actually says that he has indicated he's learning French now.
oh, he is now.
So
Oh,
that it
okay,
was kind of a clear signal that yes, he is gunning for the position.
okay,
We
okay.
we're just doing primers right now, but if we want a little federal talk, the polling is a bit down for the conservatives since the last election.
Can I say something about that polling though? Can
Please,
I?
please.
Because so first of all, the couple
First
of
of
polls
all,
that we have out right now are from Ecos and Nanos, two of the
right? Yeah,
least reliable pollsters out there. I
yeah,
and you know what?
yeah.
I like Nick Nanos as a guy, nice guy,
Hmm.
but sometimes his polling sucks. Ecos, I'm not even gonna like. If I say anything, it's gonna be a 20-minute bad rant, so I'm just not gonna
Hmm.
go there. Um, Even still, that last Nanos has like the Liberals up 10 points. On a 10-point lead for the Liberals gives them, drum roll, a 7-seat majority. That's
Yeah,
it.
right.
Which is
Yeah.
actually a testament to how strong the Conservatives have made their vote efficiency. The Liberals are
Hmm.
10 points ahead and they would have a 7-seat majority.
Right.
So like if we see and of course we've still yet to see something from like Main Street was the most accurate in the last election, good for them.
Yeah.
We've yet to see anything from them. Abacus data seems to suggest it's way closer, although they haven't put out anything like I don't know in the last week or 2 weeks or so. So we're 2 weeks out from their last numbers. I've seen a few other private polls that show it's way closer than that. So, I mean, we'll see. Yes, the most obvious trend line amongst all that polling seems to say that like Mr. Carney is enjoying a honeymoon. I'm sure he
Which
will
is
for some.
typical.
Very typical,
Very
and I'm sure
typical. Yeah.
that'll last at least through the summer. Like, spoiler alert to everybody out there, no one's paying attention to politics right now. We had the
No.
election, we're heading into the warm months. People
Yeah.
just check out. So,
They do.
like,
Yeah. Well,
Pierre's still working away. Good for him.
yeah.
And I'm glad to see that he is doing that. Honestly, the Conservatives have been crushing it in the House. Like they've been doing really good work in
Yeah.
there.
Andrew Scheer's
And they've
good.
been Andrew
He's good.
Scheer, like Andrew Lawton grilled the safety minister on a bunch of
Yeah, that
stuff.
was
Like
pretty
all
funny.
that's been fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's gonna like people are gonna be checked out for a while. So
They will.
the
But
federal situation is gonna be boring for a while.
yeah, honestly, those numbers don't really matter. Like, I think people will talk about it, but here the reality is that no one's really looking at Pierre Poilievre for, a big leadership thing right now because there's no
No.
election on the horizon. It's kind of Carney's time to shine and do his thing,
Yeah.
and he's going to get a good 3 to 6 months more
Yeah.
of leeway before people are going to start criticizing too heavily. Because
Yeah.
as a new government, you have to, it's a new and old government, but you have to implement your policy agenda, and he's done a big pivot here. So,
Yes.
so we'll see. So again, those like conservative people will talk about it because the people that don't like Pierre are going to be like, oh, leadership, rah, rah, rah. And then like if Tim Houston's kind of wanting to jump in, I'm sure he'll be criticizing behind the scenes or whatever. But
Yeah.
really, it doesn't matter right now. And it's like, let's talk a year from now about what it looks like.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and then that's a more serious conversation. But for now, it really doesn't matter. Like you're criticizing the opposition, or you're the opposition criticizing the government in the House, and
Yeah.
that's what you should be doing. So
As you
anyways, that
should.
that was the Tim Houston thing, and a lot going on there. Susan Holt,
Yeah.
what do you think of Susan Holt there, Gregory?
I mean, she's young, she's happy looking, she's done her social team's doing a good job. Like I'm not surprised. It's gone down a teeny bit. It might very well go down even more over time. I haven't honestly paid that close attention to New Brunswick politics in the last year because there's been so much like we've been focusing federally in other places.
Yeah,
So I mean, again, 58%. A lot of people would give an arm and a leg
pretty
for
good.
58%. So
Oh
yeah,
man, that's
pretty good
that's
for
a
her.
really high rating. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think she smiles. She does these cool videos where she's like, this week, this is what we're doing, and she's like talking about what the priorities of the government are that week, and like all leaders should do that. Like, holy cow, that's an
Yeah.
easy win, but they just don't because they're too busy or whatever. But Holt's made
Yeah.
time for it, so good for her in New
Yeah.
Brunswick, and she'll have again. This is don't look at this for another year or two because I expect it's going to be pretty like when someone's newly elected, unless they royally screw the pooch
Yes.
on a big policy or something, they're probably going to stay popular for a while. It's when
At
they've been
least a
in government.
year, 6 months to a year
Yeah,
at least.
So she's still in her honeymoon period.
Yeah.
So, good for her and we'll go. So this is the interesting one. And a lot of people
Yeah.
who hate Danielle Smith across the country, because she's not well liked outside of Alberta, but in Alberta, she's very well liked.
Oh
And
yeah.
she's actually gone up 5 points since the last election. So I think it's worth looking at her chart here if
Yeah,
I can
let's
go
scroll
down a
down.
bit, because if you remember, there was an election. There was a lot of criticism of Danielle Smith in that election. She won. She beat Rachel Notley,
Yeah.
and she was at 42%. She's at 52 now. She's gone up almost 10 points.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is, I'm very biased here. Again, we talk about how we recognize our biases. And I think she's great. Like, if you've watched her and not listened to headlines from,
Yes. Yeah.
angry people, you're like, she's very pragmatic and very good. Like, I watched her on Hurley
Yeah.
Burley the other day, and I was
Yeah,
like,
good for her.
she did a very good job on Hurley Burley, I thought. Like,
Yeah.
she has this, she's really smart. She's very well spoken. She spent years doing radio in the media, so she can
Yeah,
talk to
she's
people.
got great PR skills. Absolutely
Yeah.
10 out of 10 PR skills.
And when, like, a lot of people just have like, I talk about this a lot. This is the game that gets played, and this is everywhere. But people have mental shortcuts and stereotypes of people.
Yeah.
Like, for me, they're like Derek, incredibly smart, incredibly attractive, the best
That's so
agency.
crazy. That's my exact shortcuts for
Is
you.
it? Well, I didn't see. I
That's
didn't know
so
that about you.
wild.
And like Greg, Cats fan, not very smart because of that, but very attractive as well. Um, great family man, very
Yeah.
sharp, great communicator, great at so. Other than the Cats thing, that's all. I have all positives about you. So that's
Nice.
your
I'll
hat
wear a
tip.
melon on my head next time. Get that
Okay,
last.
thank you. Be a
Take it
Rider
from an
fan.
A to an A plus.
Yeah, that'd be great. But people have mental shortcuts because our brains are lazy and we need shortcuts in order to think.
Yeah.
So people just think Danielle Smith, crazy, right-wing extremist. She's not. She's very pragmatic. She's a
Yeah.
libertarian and she's very clear on that. But when you see her approach to government, she listens to people, she'll
Yeah.
pivot, she'll deal with issues in a very smart way. Her stuff on healthcare is really quite good. And
Yeah.
other provinces and premiers need to pick up what she's doing because she's got some good policy that she's presenting, and it's smart stuff, honestly, to reform healthcare, and she explains it really well. I think she's leading in the communications on that. And I'm, again, I'm biased because I'm in the province watching all this and helping with some of it, but she, yeah. So what I'm saying is she's a bit of a dark horse to continue gaining in popularity.
Yeah.
The only thing that could blow everything up is the separatist movement in Alberta, which
Yeah.
is a trick. Now, and she's said this pretty openly too, is she's like, if the federal government wants, they could dissipate the separatist sentiment in Alberta pretty quickly
Yeah.
by changing some policy. And she has an outline of policies there. It's been very clear on that. Or it could get out of hand and out of control, and that's going to be dangerous for her government and her popularity. So we'll see on that. But right now, everything's looking good. Nenchi, as we talked about last time, he kind of sucks.
It's crazy that in a pro-separatist sentiment environment, he has not capitalized on it at all. And in fact, it's gotten worse for him.
Yeah.
Smith has been very, very good so far at allowing, because with the separatist stuff, like the play there is you can't tell them all to shut up and go away. And you can't just
Yeah.
like not nor do I think she actually wants to be. I don't think she is like a separatist at heart. I think she's probably like she's obviously, wants in more independence for Alberta in the sense of like political that's outlined on the constitution, all that stuff. She
Right.
wants that, which fair enough. I think every premier should want that for their own province.
Right.
But she can't obviously go and be like full separatist. So she's done a very good job of listening to both sides on this argument
Right.
and
Right.
allowing that like little, I don't know what you fire to burn, if you will, in a
Right.
controlled way. Like, you have a controlled burn on a forest so that it
Yep.
doesn't become a forest fire and get out of hand. And if you allow this to happen quickly, then you'll be able to get through it quickly without it. If you drag it out, if you may end up, it may backfire on her. And again, if you try to snuff it out too quick, it might, blow up on you again because it'll seem like
Mm.
top-down government coming to shut us up and tell us what to do kind of thing. So I think she's found that perfect balance of like of listening to both sides and trying to allow this thing to happen organically but quickly so that they
Right.
can kind of have it. Let's get to these referendums. Let's handle this situation and then move forward. Because it's like at least according to Janet Brown, that one was the lowest one. She's probably the most accurate pollster in Alberta, and that
He's
one
really
has
good. Yeah.
separatism at like I think 20 something percent, mid to high 20s, which is still
Well,
high-ish, but it's not like win a referendum high.
well, those numbers are all over the place. Like,
Yeah,
like Cam Davies, who's the new leader of the what is it, the Republicans of Alberta Party here.
Republican. Yeah,
Yeah, he's like it's over 40% for sure. And then I think Smith's government said their polling's at like 30, and then other people have it at 20. So, there's a lot of making up numbers. I think in
yeah,
this, or like I think it's more in the 30s. Generally, like it's always kind of in the high 20s. So I'm not surprised it's
yeah.
in the 30s right now. So it's interesting. Now, if I can share this video of Nenji, it was just because I saw this the other day, and his body language is so bad. Like this
Yeah.
is a lesson to watch what you're doing when you're not speaking. When he was speaking, he looked actually quite good and quite happy. And it's just this pride video. Can you still see this, Greg?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. Because I went full screen. But it's like I looked at his body language throughout this video, and he's like, I hate my life. I don't want to be here. It was like the
What do I
whole.
do with my hands?
Yeah, and it's like, let me find it again. It's just like here, I'll just play it a bit so you can kind of see it a bit. But like he just looks like uninterested, bored. I hate my life. I don't want to be here. Like, look at his face right now. He's just like,
It's just like a sad fish.
sir. Yeah, he looks like a sad fish. And when he's talking, he actually looks good.
Yeah,
But
this is fine. This is perfectly good.
yeah, so
Great
people on audio,
hand-eye.
sorry you can't see this. Go check out Nenchi's video on the Pride stuff with four other people. But yeah, again, he kind of strikes me as the guy that if he's not talking and in control, he kind of like hates his life. Because I watch other videos like this where I'm like, he just loves again, I kind of love the camera too, so I get it,
I
but
get it.
I just couldn't believe the shift in how he looked when he wasn't talking. We're- And so anyways, it's just that's just a funny thing. So we better keep rolling here. I love my Nenshi talk as everybody knows. So sorry about that, everyone. I can't help myself. Okay,
That's all
Scotty
right.
Moe in Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
No
doing
change.
well for himself, no change, which is
Yeah.
probably good for him because they've also been dealing with some separatist stuff. They just came off of that, it was a majority win, but it was a very tight
Mhm.
majority win. So there was a risk, and I suppose the risk is still there that like he makes a misstep and that starts plummeting. They've also been dealing with like the forest fires, and I'm Derek, you probably could speak more to that
Yep.
yourself, but I mean,
Tough
as far as
season.
I can
Yeah.
tell, he's done a good job of holding the line
Mhm.
and maintaining that likability. If he, yeah, and there's clearly having not gone down means that there's room for it to go back up again for him too.
Well, if we can look at his chart a little bit too, I think you're exactly right on all that stuff, Greg. Where's the Scott Moe chart here? Here it is. Yeah. So he's had highs of 65%, which is really high,
Yeah,
right? Like that's kind of WAP Canoe numbers, which is insane.
yeah,
But he had lows of 43, and then he was at 45 kind of before the last election, and then now he's up at 49 again. So there was definitely a pivot, and he said he was going to pivot and be more of a diplomat. I think he was being, a lot harder on the federal government and more attacky, and I'm not as maybe not as collaborative as people wanted. And there was fights with the teachers and healthcare workers as well that hurt him before the election as well. So I think he's done a good pivot coming out of the election, and 49% is great. Like especially
again,
he's
a
been in
lot of
power for.
politicians would give an arm and a leg. Ask Francois Legault if he'd like 49%.
Well, exactly. Yeah, well, we'll get to him, but it's like this is very positive for Premier Mo, to be
Yeah,
honest, because look at how long he's been in power for. It's been
yeah,
since 2018. So if you can go this long with this level of popularity, it's very impressive. So
yeah,
good on Scotty Moe. Now he's going through tough wildfire season, but I hope the province is through the worst of it now. And
yeah.
a lot of smoke everywhere in Western Canada. So, all right, EB in Manitoba, Premier EB. So he's
You mean
down seven.
Manitoba?
Oh, BC. Sorry, I meant BC. So he's at 46%, which isn't bad, but he dropped 7 points
Yeah,
since
that's a
March.
big drop.
It's a big drop. So what they're saying in here is the issue is a couple things. One is he is trying to get some pipelines and projects approved.
Kind of.
I kind of, but
Asterix.
well. So here's my issue. If you're going to be pro on something, be pro on something and don't hide it.
Yes.
Like that's what Wab Kinnew's doing. He's like, no, we're doing this. We're
Yeah.
where Premier EB is kind of like he's trying to play both sides of the fence here, where it's like, no, let's approve pipelines. No, no, are you saying no pipelines? And then he's kind of like he approved the construction of the Port of Prince Rupert for LNG, and I'm like, that was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so either he should go all in on it or not go all in. Like the playing the both sides, people get mad at that. It's
Yeah.
like be firm on where you stand. And I think what he should say, if I were him, if I was advising his government, I would say this is a season in Canada, in our nation, where we need to build less reliance on the United States, much like Carney did and won a giant election on and won
Yeah.
a good amount of seats in BC with. That we need to do this right now. And we're not going to do it forever, but we have to make some progress in this season.
Yeah.
And politics and public opinion comes in seasons and waves.
Yeah.
Like if you think of a while ago, it was really cool to be woke and carbon taxes and whatever. Now it ain't. Now it's cool to be into the economy because everyone's broke and our country's not
Yes.
doing very well. So I think that's what he should do. The problem for him is that he's facing pressure from his left wing base, that
Yeah.
is Green Party people and very socialist NDP people in Vancouver and whatnot. And so but he has to overcome that pressure. Good leaders overcome that pressure and have strong stances regardless. So Wab
Yeah.
Kinnew's faced the same problems, but he's overcome them. EB is not, and he's dropping. So
Yeah.
there's a good lesson for y'all there. Take a strong stand, convince people, show
Yeah.
them why we're doing this at this time, make it happen.
Yeah. It's basically the reverse Danielle Smith thing going on there.
Yes.
Like whereas Danielle is maintaining her, like she's if you can criticize her for a lot of things, not having strong principles is not one of them. She has had very firm positions on these issues for a very long time, and she's
Hmm.
stuck to her guns on this. And she's clearly with +5, she's either reconvinced UCP voters who kind of fell off, or she may very well have convinced some maybe business-minded NDPers to come over her to her side. So good for her.
Yeah.
And yeah, David Eby, maybe you could take a little look eastward and learn some lessons.
Hmm. Hogan in Newfoundland and Labrador. No change. I don't know much about him. What do you know
Yeah,
about him?
he looks like he just got out of college, so good for him for being so young. I
Young
don't
and a
even think
Creamer, good for him.
39%. I don't even think he's
Uh,
39 years old.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. We might have to report on him more later because we both don't know enough about the political
Yeah.
situation. But we know about Ontario a little bit. Ford's down 10 points. That
LOL. Wow.
but
Jeez.
here's the thing. I saw polling the other day showing that the PC party is still kind of the same level that they had in the last election.
Oh, he's still emperor for life. He's just now disliked even more.
Right. Yeah. So there's growing criticism of Premier Ford for sure across the country. I just think the opposition there is very weak. Sorry, across the country,
Yes.
more so in Ontario than across the country. And they've had some bad fiscal news recently. So I looked at the write up
Yeah, it's
here.
bad.
I'll find the write up. You tell me about it. What you know, Greg.
Well, so unemployment hit super high here. It's 7% nationally, and I believe it's even
Mhm.
higher in Ontario.
Right.
Our debt is completely out of control. Spending is as well. Now, part of that spending is infrastructure spending, which I
Mhm.
actually agree that we need to do. Like, I do actually think it's something
Right.
we need to do.
Right.
But that said, like, we're Ontario is probably one of the province dealing the most with like the out of control immigration issue because everyone wants to
Right.
come here, and it's part of the reason why we're dealing with so much bloat combined with like stagnating productivity, stagnating social services and things like that.
Mhm.
It's a bit of a mess, and I won't I do think part of his decline in approval is the fact that like he's got the issue from both sides. He's got the left wingers who don't like him for being whatever, terrible, evil, no good conservative. And then you've got
Right.
the conservatives who think, wow, he's a terrible, evil, no good liberal.
Yeah.
And I don't like him
Yeah.
either. So his coalition, I mean, 38% still not bad. Like
It's not horrible.
38% in an election result could be a win, could be a majority win for all if you get the numbers right.
Yeah.
Um, Now, approval is obviously a very different metric than like actual party support in an election.
Correct. Correct.
But to go from 48 to 38% in a couple of months is not good,
Mhm.
obviously.
Yeah,
So,
for
and
sure.
it's now here's the thing, it's still not his low. 38% still not his low. His low is 28%, as you can see there, and 30 not too far
Yeah. So
behind
he's
it.
been lower.
Um, he's been lower, so I guess like if you want to look on the bright side for Doug Ford, but he's got work to do, and there's well, I mean he seems very eager to be premier forever. We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if this trend continues for us to have there may very well be, and there has been a lot of talk about a leadership in Ontario at some point, not very out in the open, but behind the scenes. There's been a lot of,
I
well,
haven't
maybe
heard
it's
that.
time for Doug
Interesting.
Ford to step down and for someone else to take over. And especially that mostly came in light of all the stuff that happened during the federal election, where you had
Right.
Doug Ford seemingly going after Polyev a little bit. I mean, Corey Tenayk was going after him pretty heavily, but Ford less
Yeah.
so. But they're obviously very connected. And then his like seeming appreciation for Mark Carney. And I don't necessarily fault him for wanting to be friendly with the leader, but he, calling him
Yeah.
Santa Claus and stuff like that has not made the conservative base very happy.
No, I agree. I think he should be a little more measured in how he talks about federal leaders in general. Like he should just be a little more bipartisan about it rather than
Yeah,
because he kind of goes like, "Oh, Poilievre's great," and then like super critical of him, and then it's like he'll be a little critical of Carney and then call him Santa Claus and think he's the best ever. And it's like, what? He
it's
should just be a
weird.
little more measured, honestly, on those guys
Yeah, it's
would be
weird.
would be helpful. But this is interesting. They say in the report here, Ford has consistently been closer to the bottom of the premier rankings than the top during his tenure. And so it's the
Yeah,
same way again, but he seems to just find ways to bounce back. And we did that episode with Chris Chapin from Upstream, who's
yeah,
close with Ford in the group there. And it's like Ford's able to bounce back. It's sort of his superpower is
yeah.
he'll go down for a bit, he'll pivot, he'll come back. And eventually people get sick of everybody, but I think you're right. I think he's going to be emperor for as long as he wants to be in
Yeah,
Ontario.
I mean, like that last poll had them at 49% support, which is just
Yeah,
crazy.
that is
Like
crazy.
that's again another majority, could be even higher theoretically,
Yeah.
depending on the turnout. But the problem is, yeah, like the Ontario NDP was so their brand was so damaged
Hmm.
by the Bob Rae years, and the
Yeah.
Ontario Liberal brand was so damaged by Kathleen Wynne that
Hmm.
it's very hard for those parties to come back. It's been very difficult, and
Right.
Bonnie Crombie's not done a very good job. She's didn't bother getting a seat in the ledge, which is like a major like
Yeah.
politics 101. Get your seat in the ledge. Come on. And Merritt Stiles,
Hmm.
like she's not followed the model of like the Wab Canoe being pro economic zones and stuff like that, pro money and business. She's been very heavy on the woke stuff,
Right.
which people are getting sick and tired of. So there's just no appetite for what she's selling.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and the history has repeated itself where there's a federal liberal government. Typically, you're having a more conservative government in Ontario and vice versa.
It seems to
So
be the trend,
isn't
yeah.
that weird that it's
I
been actually consistent?
I don't know
Consistent?
if that actual logic still holds. Like if all of a sudden like we were to get or had Bonnie Crombie been elected in whatever it was February, would we have ended up with a Pierre Poilievre minority or majority government? I don't
Mhm.
think that necessarily holds. It was
Yeah.
definitely the logic for in the past, like at least 25 years ago or more, but like the demographics have shifted so rapidly. Like I don't know because a lot of people, like I know a lot of people who used to vote, they voted NDP in Ontario for the unions, and then they
Hmm.
voted federally conservative because they were business guys, like they wanted to keep all their
Right.
tax dollars.
Right.
So
Right.
they would do that, but now most of those guys just vote conservative both ways. Like if they're voting
Right.
for Pierre Poilievre, they're probably they've well I'll vote for Doug Ford, I guess too, kind of thing. So I don't
Right.
know.
Hmm.
There have to be we'd have to see some actual polling and data on that.
Before we get to Legault, I want to go back to David Eby for a second, and I got to slip a
Yeah,
Brad Wall reference in here, right? Of course,
yeah.
that's what I do. So there was a tweet here from BC Ferries. It said, following a rigorous global procurement process, which included a public request for proposals, bid evaluations, and site visits, China, merchants, industry, Weihai shipyards have been selected to build four major new vessels. So this is for BC Ferries, and this was one of the reasons why EB's popularity is down. And so this is what former Premier Wall said. China, who is tariffing Canadian canola, chosen by the BC government to build new ships, the same BC government that would veto a pipeline for Canadian oil. But hey, at least you can't buy a bottle of Jack Daniels in BC. Team Canada.
Elbows up, everybody.
Apple's up. So this is where EB gets criticized for kind of playing both sides too much.
Yeah.
And it's it's fair criticism, folks.
Yeah.
It really is. If you're going to be Team Canada, actually be Team Canada. Don't. And so I think people see that, and like I always tell clients and whatnot, you have to be one way. Like you can't shift around and meander to one group and then to another group. It makes cognitive like it seems like a good strategy in the moment, but it builds cognitive dissonance in people's minds. And so it's like if you're going to be super pro environment, be super pro environment.
Yeah.
If you're going to be pro economy, be pro economy. Like there's nuances to all that. I get it, but it's like pick a lane, people.
Yeah.
Like pick a lane in your messaging, pick a lane in your policy. As a business, don't try to be all things to all people. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And same thing here too. So there's my Brad Wall reference for the episode. So can't help it. Sorry, everybody. If you're gonna listen to this,
You're
you're
gonna
gonna
get
hear
it,
Brad
yeah.
Wall. Yeah. All right. Let's go to Premier Legault in Quebec. Really
Womp
bad.
womp 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 womp.
He's at 25%. So, for those that can't see the image here, he started in December 2018 at 59%. He's had highs in 2020 at 77%. That's probably when he locked everybody down. It was like the tightest lockdown ever
Yeah.
during COVID. But then he steadily dropped, had a little bit of a boost in 2022, and then he's been dropping 30%, 31%, 38%, down to 25%. So, yikes, that's not good.
Yeah.
He's had scandals. Their economy is in the crapper. They're spending a ridiculous amount of money, record deficits. I don't know this. I should look up the stats of how much they're spending on just interest payments in Quebec because people don't realize that this deficit spending is not free. You have to pay
No.
interest on that debt, and that is becoming a large part of your budget, which means you have to spend more, which means you have to do more interest, and you have less money to spend on programs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's being attacked from all sides, and probably deservedly so.
Yeah.
What are your
And
thoughts?
well, I'm not going to pretend to know a ton about the Quebec politics. One thing I do know is that, like, in most other provinces, it's a two or three-way race. You've got your
Right.
generally conservative party, you've got your generally left-wing party. There may be another left-wing party
Centrist.
in there too, or centrist party. Like in Ontario,
Yeah.
you've got the PCs, the Liberals, and the NDP. In Alberta, you've got the UCP and the NDP. That kind of thing. In BC, you've got the Conservatives, the NDP, and then the Greens. In
Yeah.
Quebec, there's like six parties that all have like at least 10% ish or more of support. So it's way more spread out. And in a first past the post system, one party just getting that little inch on the other can produce huge majorities
Yeah,
in
that's
the
true.
long run. Like right now, I believe there's even and the what do you call it? The voting efficiency is so wild out there. Like the Parti Québécois has crazy good voting efficiency. Like they
Mhm.
may only have the last poll I saw, I believe, had them around low 30s, but it was like a 70 something seat majority. And the Liberal Party, the Liberal Party of Quebec, which like may have even I think they were a few points ahead, would only going to get 20 seats because it's so concentrated in like Montreal,
Right.
their vote share. So it's such an interesting place. Again, I'm not going to pretend to know that much about it or have any particularly intricate thoughts on the province, but it's been wild to watch Legault go down like this because I used to be in oil and gas advocacy, like on the not-for-profit side, and we were like, I remember hammering Legault at that when he was at that 70%. I mean, like you said you were going to be open to oil and gas, and now you're completely reversing course on this. Like, what the hell? How do we? And we've
Mhm.
just there was like nothing you could do to damage this guy's uh, polling high, like
Reputation. Yeah.
reputation, like he was just killing it. And now to see him at 25% is wild. And I don't think it has too much to do with his oil and gas stance, at least in a particular way. But it's been wild to watch this guy's meteoric rise and now meteoric fall.
That's pretty much all politicians have that, a rise and a fall. This, he's been around for a long time, so he's had a really successful career. We'll see if he can bounce back from this. But yeah, there was, 270 million that the province invested in the electric battery plant that's now
Yeah,
bankrupt and worthless. So it's like, that's bad. And
yeah,
then you have the Parti Québécois being a little resurgent and
yeah,
challenging. It's like you don't even, you're too Canada focused. You're not Quebec focused enough, and then you have several other scandals, and you have consistent low government revenues. But this is the problem in Quebec that I'll criticize until I'm blue in the
yeah.
face. Develop your economy, Quebec. Holy cow! You leave all your
Develop your
resources in the
resources.
ground, not just oil and gas, but mining. forestry, a bunch of different things. You don't develop your industries because of your politics, and no one can agree that this is important. And they just think the Canada is going to save them, and Alberta equalization is going to save them forever. And
Yeah.
like, despite how much money Alberta and the federation gives you, you still need to develop your economy, and you would have not these problems. So somebody take a political risk there and develop some stuff. Like, now's the time to do it, honestly.
Yeah.
So like, because again, there's seasons where you can get stuff done and seasons where you can't. And this is one of those times where you could actually get some economic growth happening and some projects going that aren't heavily subsidized battery plants. That these deals were
That's
so
shut down.
crazy. Yeah, like you knew, like, doesn't Ontario have similar problems
Yeah,
with
and it's
EV?
even more than like it's like in the billions that we spent
Whew.
on these stupid battery plants,
And
and then
it
now
was a
they're going to
bidding
shut down.
war. It
Yeah.
was a bidding war with government money to get these things, and now they're failing. It's like, holy
And
crap.
the worst part is, or I don't know, maybe this is the most ironically funny part is these plants are shutting down because no one wants the vehicles.
Right.
It's not even like it's not because they're poorly made or some silly thing like
Yeah.
that. Although maybe they are, I have no idea. It's because no one wants the demand is not there, which we
Right.
all knew. We all knew that was the case. People still want their gas powered cars here in
I
Canada,
know. I
and the
know.
government tried to force it on us, spent billions subsidizing these companies, and now they're like friggin' off to goodness knows where.
Hmm. I do like, here's the thing. It still is the future that you're probably gonna have more electric vehicles and gas powered and
Sure.
more autonomous vehicles than not. I heard Neil deGrasse, if you listen to him, he's really interesting.
Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the
Yeah.
science guy.
Yeah, the science
Nice.
guy. I
Yeah.
love listening to him. So this is his prediction, and I agree with it. It's like eventually it'll be kind of like, we used horses for thousands of years for
Yeah.
transportation, in the country and cities or whatever. Now, no one drives their city or drives their horse in a city or rides their horse in a city. It's you have a track for it. You have an equestrian park. You go into the country to do that. It's going to
Yeah.
be, he says, it's going to be the same thing with people operated vehicles. It There'll be tracks where you can, drive your Camaro or your Ferrari on or whatever
Yeah.
vehicle you like, but everything else will just be autonomous, probably mostly battery operated. I think the problem with fossil fuels is that they're so darn efficient and so convenient.
Yes. They're
So
great.
that's
I
why they're
love them.
used, people, is they're very practical and they're very consistent. And our grids are going to take a long time to upgrade before we can do electric, is what people don't realize. And so, I think governments are almost scared to promote them too much in some ways, especially
Yeah.
municipalities. They're like, holy crap, our grid's not good enough to take all this
Well,
electric.
it's like it's laughably not good. If you want it, so in Ontario, I don't know if Alberta has a similar thing. I don't remember from when I lived out there. But in Ontario, when you're driving along the highways, you come across these things called en routes, and they're like a stop on the highway. They got a bunch of restaurants, well, fast
Right.
food places in
Yeah.
them. You can get they got like convenience stores, bathrooms, all that stuff.
Yeah.
There was a discussion, this was a while ago now, several years ago now, where they were like, okay, and if we wanted to have these like autonomous electric trucks that they were talking about
Right.
building, we wanted to have an entire fleet of these. Like it was good. We were going to phase out gas power trucks, and it was just going to be these things. How much power would we need? Because theoretically, like people fuel up on these en routes. Like that's what they're
You
used
have to.
for.
Yeah.
You have to. And okay, so what would it take to like what power level would we need for these trucks to work properly? And it was basically like we would need about 100 new nuclear power plants across
Oh,
Ontario
geez.
to feed to replace all the diesel that would now no longer be in liquid form. It would
Yikes.
be like in the power grid as power, like 100 nuclear power plants. Do you know how many we're building, Derek?
Zero.
Zero. We're
Yeah.
refurbishing our existing ones, and we're going to now build SMRs up north. We are building no new major nuclear power plants.
Yeah, that's significant. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. So like, here's the other thing. Again, we're not getting into predictions, but it's like, couldn't we just have gas or diesel powered autonomous vehicles? Like, doesn't that work? Why do they have to be electric?
Yeah. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
I don't think they need to be. It's kind of the mindset, because everything kind of comes from Elon Musk and what he's trying to
Yeah.
do right now. So that'd be a whole nother episode we don't, Elon and Donald Trump's
Yeah.
feud. We talked about it last time, but I think for this one we should wrap it up. That was a very good, quick hitter on the premiers numbers that hopefully you found interesting and fun. And it's always fascinating to see how the premiers are doing. I think you have a pretty good crop of premiers right now that seem like they're going to be around for a long time. Maybe not Legault would be the only trick there, but yeah, a pretty good strong crop of leaders. I would say right now.
Yeah.
across the country. So, and then you have a new leader federally. So, you have your senior states people, which would be Legault, Ford, and Mo right now.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, they're guiding things. And so yeah, hopefully the country can make some progress in internal trade. You see a lot of them making deals right now. That's great to
Yeah.
see,
It's
bringing down
positive.
trade barriers. So, I'm hopeful, everybody, and Greg. I'm a
Same.
glass half full guy. It's like, as much as I didn't love the Carney election, I like a lot of things he's saying, and hopefully he can get some stuff done. He's our only government we have for now. So I'm going, I've always been supportive of whoever the prime minister is until it's time to get rid of them, and then I'll advocate strongly for the candidate I believe in. But I think you have to support whatever government's in that you got, because that's all you got. And so, anyways, that's my perspective. Is you can't, if you're the opposition, you should be criticizing them all the time. That's your
Yeah, that's your
job.
job.
But as a citizen, at some point, you got to like let the government implement their agenda, and unless it's like horribly damaging. But I don't think Carney's agenda is horribly damaging to the country. I just hope we can actually, like, the strongest economy in the G7. I support that.
I want to be that. Yeah.
Now he has to do a lot of policy in order to make that happen. But
Got a lot of
um,
work to do.
so I'm partisan for sure, but I will recognize game and good policy when it happens. So like that's where I'm like, Bob Kinew, doing great. NDP
Great
premier,
job.
great
Yeah.
job. And so anyways, it's my 2 cents, people. I have strong opinions, and hopefully they're good. Who
Yeah.
knows? I don't know. But that's all the time we got. I know you
All
got lots
right.
to do, Greg. I got lots to do. Let's go help out our clients and
If I
make
can
make
if
sure
I
they
can finish
succeed.
on one, because we didn't really get too many hockey references in here. So if I can get one hockey metaphor.
Well, we got the Oilers playing tonight, so let's do
Yeah,
that.
go Oilers, go
The
Oilers.
Oilers.
Unless you're
Yeah.
unless you're from Calgary. I
They hate
respect the haters.
they hate
Honestly, I respect the haters. They're
Oh man, they hate
consistent.
him so much. Okay, go ahead with your hockey reference.
The is
Which
I'm
which
backtracking a
post?
TD bit. I'm circling back to the Ontario EV thing. The
Okay.
Ontario EV thing was like Phil Kessel on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Theoretically, great idea. You spent way too much money on it and it didn't
Yeah.
work. But maybe
No.
it'll work like elsewhere years from now on another team,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you can get a Stanley Cup out of it. So we'll see.
You can eat lots of hot dogs and win the
So
Stanley
many
Cup.
hot dogs.
I love Phil the Thrill. This is a funny thing. You should look up Phil the Thrill when he sold his house.
Oh.
Because he's like a forever alone guy. It was hilarious.
Oh no.
He had this like big movie theater in his house with one chair like in the middle of the room.
Oh.
And I'm like, that
Oh
is so
no.
Phil Kessel. And it was like this empty house just for him, big empty house, because he's like, he doesn't like people and just kind of a weird dude. But I've heard stories about Phil actually of being the most out of shape guy coming back
Yeah.
from the summertime. And he goes into training camp and he'll say to the trainers, oh, you got to really, work on me here. But he still like destroyed everybody. Like I think
Yeah.
I heard that on Spit and Chicklets and other places where it's like most out of shape guy still worked everybody. And so he was just like kind of a freak of nature that he was able to do that because he
Yeah.
was kind of like chunky throughout his whole career, but he would still skate faster than everybody and still score goals.
Yeah, it was
So
crazy. He was
yeah.
like the what's that? What was the fat golfer's name? What was his
Oh, John
name?
Daly.
Yeah, he was like the John Daly of hockey.
You're you're
But
kind
he
of right.
wasn't
Yeah.
ripping. He was like other than not ripping heaters on the ice, like it was
Yeah,
the
he should have
same
been
kind of deal.
smoking more, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do hockey predictions. Stanley Cup Finals here. The Florida Panthers look like they're cruising right now. Are they gonna get slowed
Uh,
down?
I hope
Anyone?
so. I hope so. I want them to. Like the math is there. Everything on paper, the Edmonton can do it. They just got to get out there and it's the problem. Honestly, like Bobrovsky is
Bob.
so good. He's
Bob has been
so
good.
damn good.
I know. He's
Like
been very good.
it's hard to like. I mean, Edmonton, you go out there and you give it your all, and like it's tough. He's so good.
Here's what's good. This is my fantasy world of Derek. What's going to happen? Calvin Pickard's going to get the net tonight.
Okay.
Give Stu a break. Like he's had to reset. He was bad last game. I heard.
Yeah.
My kid's a competitive goalie, so I watch all this goalie stuff all the time. And this pro goalie was sort of talking through Skinner's game, and it's like his depth was wrong, his angles were wrong.
Yeah.
He wasn't square when he should have been. He flipped a puck over the glass at the end. Like he was not himself. And Skinner, he doesn't have strong mobility. Like he's not Dustin Wolf. Like if you watch Dustin Wolf, he should
Yeah.
have won the Calder in my opinion. I liked him more than Lane Hudson's amazing. So don't get me wrong, but that's rookie of the year for anyone who doesn't know. But
Oh, okay.
Skinner has no mobility. He's very slow. but he can be good if he plays his deep in the net game.
Yeah.
But I think he has to reset because he was getting too aggressive and he wasn't mobile enough to get to the positions he needed to. And so he was
Yeah.
just Swiss cheese out there. And so if we can get him a game rest and Pickard and they can rally for Calvin Pickard, which they have done in the past. He's undefeated in the playoffs this year, Pickard, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yeah, he had a run and then he got injured and then Skinner came back and Skinner was actually
Oh,
good. It got a couple shutouts. So maybe you can rally around Pickard tonight and then we'll see what happens. Maybe stick with Pickard or maybe you have to go back to Skinner. Who knows? But get the split
yeah.
in Florida. You go back to Edmonton, you win another game and you're in. So
Yeah.
this game is critical. If they lose this game, I think they're done. But if they can win
Yeah.
this one, rally around Pickard if he's in. But yeah, the goalie experts that I'm listening to, they're like, you should not be putting Skinner back in the net. He's
Yeah.
not playing the game he needs to in the finals in order to win. And Bob's playing so good. Like you have to match.
Yeah.
Like you're probably never going to have a goalie that's going to match Bob in the finals,
Probably
because
not. No.
he's just dialed and their defense is better too. But if you can kind of get it to more of a draw on the goaltending and defensive side,
Yes.
then you got a shot. So, and then
Yeah.
you're going to have to get some magic from McDavid and Draisaitl, but
So
you
McDavid
can't,
magic. Yeah.
they're pretty magical, but like magic every game's tough. Like I saw them beating up McDavid at the line where like with all the other teams, he could just like zoom. He's got the zoomies into the zone. But they're basically like taking two guys and cutting him off and then like hitting him as he gets into the zone, which other teams don't seem to be able to do that for some reason. I don't know why they haven't.
Yeah.
But they're just like, well, I'll just let him through and then cover him after that. But McDavid might have to do the same thing, but like find a sneaky way to pass it off because he's drawing two man coverage. So there's some strategy for you, hockey strategy. So watch
Yeah.
for McDavid's zoomies to get, you know, maybe he'll like do a stop off at the blue line and give it back to somebody. So it's like you have two
Yeah.
guys with the zoomies and then you pull all the coverage. I don't know. We'll see. This is all the adjustments you got to make in the finals in order to win. Coaching.
Yeah. There you go. I hope they were listening.
Yes. Yeah. There. Yeah. So I honestly, I could go. We should just do a hockey podcast and I'll talk about it.
Yeah. Well, we could do a dissection of the final game whenever that happens.
Yeah. Well, we better go. Thanks everyone for
Yep.
watching.
Thank you.
What do you have to say as the final things there, Greg, in our episode? Do you
Keep
have
your stick
anything?
on the ice. Spay and neuter
Yeah.
your pets.
Hey, Bob Barker style.
All the usual. Yeah. All the usual sign offs.
All right. Thanks everybody. Have a great day. Go Oilers.